The genesis of Altra goes back all the way back to my father, and he blew out his knee playing football when he was in college. He was told he would never be able to run again, and so it became his mission to be able to run, even though he'd been told that that's something he couldn't do. He started to learn to run, and he found that if he ran with anything but perfect technique, he couldn't run, or he'd be sidelined for weeks. His knee would swell up. It would just be incredibly painful. He couldn't even do it at all. And for me at this time, there was a big focus on running technique. Since he couldn't run properly without having good technique, he knew that would be important to customers as well. So there was always a focus on teaching people how to run as well as providing them with shoes and helping them to run injury-free, to be able to run better and run healthier. We found out that people with the least injuries were actually the barefoot runners and the ultra marathoners. And so we wanted to find a parallel between the two. What do these two groups of people that seemingly have nothing in common, people who run 100-mile races in the mountains, total crazies, and the people who run barefoot around town, also total crazies, right, you would think. What these people had in common. What we first did is I took a pair of shoes and I stuck it in my toaster oven, and I heated it up and peeled the outsole off, a trick I had been shown by my father, and then took the midsole out of the shoe, the cushioning, put in a thin layer of Spenco cushioning, and then put the outsole back on the shoe. It looked ridiculous, the laces were melted, but the amazing thing was it totally did its job.
I was talking with Golden one day and saying, hey, I want to start running, I want to get active, but whenever I run, I experience knee pain and soreness in my knees. And so he showed me this idea that he was working with modifying traditional shoes and making a zero drop, taking the heel out of them.
And so since we took the drop out of the shoe, we called it a zero drop modification at the time. And a zero drop modification eventually became zero drop shoes and so on and so forth. And so doing this modification, we started to have customers try the shoes that had been modified in the running store. Over 1,000 people in a period of just a few months actually put these shoes on, tried them up against all the other shoes in the store, and then took a fresh pair over to the shoemaker and had a pair cut down for themselves to make a pair of zero drop shoes. So they're buying a $100 pair of shoes and then paying another $20 to $50 on top of that to get the zero drop.
He had mentioned that he had pitched it to other companies and that nobody else was really buying into this concept or this idea. So I said, well, let's do it. Let's start our own company. Let's make shoes. And he laughed at me and said I was crazy for thinking that we could even do this.
But he came through. So this was also about the same time, right after that I gave the shoes to Brian, a pair of modified shoes to help him with his hamstring issue that he'd been dealing with for a few years, and it helped his hamstring issue immediately.
This friend of mine who's a little nutty, but he came to me with this idea several years ago. I spent my whole life working at a specialty running shop and running as a group, and I just always struggled with various injuries. And as we were talking about some various concepts, he started telling me a little bit about his zero drop concept that he'd come up with. As soon as I went to the zero drop, all of a sudden, these modified shoes, all of a sudden, my hamstring injury's better. I'm running just as fast and with less effort and less energy, and it was just amazing.
When he came to me telling me about his hamstring being fixed because of the zero drop shoes that he had been given, and that he was interested in helping us out, we were ecstatic to have him. The whole reason we did this goes back to the beginning, goes back to my dad couldn't run without proper technique, goes back to the customers we were trying to help get over injuries at the store and help run better. And so the whole reason that Altra exists is really to help people run more injury-free and help people run better. And we truly believe that our products help people do that.